Now, after rummaging about in my spares, I came across a couple of bits that I could upgrade the Chibson with. I wouldn't be upgrading the Chibson anymore if it wasn't for these being in my spares. Okay, I want to make that clear. But I've got some Seymour Duncan pickups that are zebras that are like what Slash had, and I've got an Epiphone bridge and stop bar which I got off a inspired by Gibson Epiphone Les Paul. So they're the upgrades I'm going to do. I did think about doing a coil split, but he never had coil splits as far as I'm aware, so I'm not going to bother. But that is an option with these pickups, whereas it wasn't for the Chibson ones. So let's get on with it and put it in, and I'll film as much as I can for you. Now, before I actually wire these pickups in, because they're not marked, they're just saying Seymour Duncan on the bottom of both of them, you've got to find out which one is the neck and which one is the bridge pickup. So the best way of doing this is to get a meter set to 20 ohms. And that one's coming up around 9 or 10, which would say to me that's the neck one, I would have thought, because the bridge one's always a bit hotter, but we'll have a look. So that's 9 to 10. And this one here, which I'm assuming is the bridge pickup, now you have to just make sure you know which one's the hot, which one is the common. Okay, the ground wire. So I know the hot on this one is black and the ground is green, and obviously the outer braid. And that one's starts off at 14, comes down to 12, so it's around, probably be a bit hotter once they get in, but that's around 12, so that's hotter, that pickup. So this one will be the bridge, that one will be the neck. There's never a lot in it, because the neck one doesn't need to be as powerful as the bridge. Okay, so that's a good way of working out which one's the bridge and which one is the neck pickup. So now you can fit your pickup rings. Thinnest one goes on the neck, and the thickest one goes on the bridge. Always fatter ends, they slope slightly. You can see if I show you this one, it's a lot more. It's just slightly. See that slope? The slope, bigger end always towards the bridge. Okay, thin end towards the neck, thicker end towards the bridge. Remember that. The amount of times I've even screwed these on wrong. Okay, and the bigger one obviously is the back. So that's a slightly thicker one. That's obviously the bridge. Okay, let's get on with wiring these pickups. Now to wire, or not to wire, but to put pickup rings on is probably going to be the hardest job in this whole upgrade. They're an absolute nightmare. I hate doing them. Just put the spring over the screw, screw over the hole, and just screw it in just till it bites. See that? So that's it. It bites there. So do the same again. Spring, put the screw through the ring first, then the spring arm, get it over that hole, try and screw it in a little bit by hand if you can, just to get it to bite, just to hold in there, and then get your screwdriver and screw it on. These are, like that went really easy, but these are really fiddly. And again, remember what I said, the thickest end goes towards the bridge. Just screw these on just till they're level, because you'll have to adjust the pickup level anyway once you do the setup. But it's just so they're on. So that's one in. And then you do exactly the same with the next one. Again, make sure the thin end goes towards the neck. Okay, I won't film me doing this one again because it's pretty boring. But just as a recap, screw in first, spring on, into pickup, and then screw it up. Again, just do it till it bites, and then do the other side. It's best to have all this prepped ready before you take out the other pickups, and then you ain't got so much messing around to do. Just get them straight in and soldered. And again, screw them up until the pickups are just flush with the pickup ring. That's both of them done. Now, let's get the pickups and everything out of the other guitar. Right, now first things first, I've taken the strings off because you don't want to see that, that's boring and takes ages. Is take off this stop bar and the bridge. They just lift off. Put them to one side. In fact, I'll put them in a bag. And they can be for spares. And I'll put them in my spares box. Now the next thing to do, and people have seen my videos before, have seen me do this, you just thread all the cloth underneath the volume knobs, or whatever knobs you want to pull off, wobble them just gently, and they will come off. Just do it gently so they don't snap, especially because these are probably cheap. That's it, so that's one off. Put that to one side, another one round, gently wobble, pull up, that's it, that's two off. Then the next thing to do, these are 10mm, so you get a 10mm socket and just undo them slightly, so to free them up. Same with this one, that's it, and then you can do the rest by hand. You loosen the pots just so you can lift them out and desolder them, ready for, let's feel right through, so ready for when we come to desoldering the pickup. Okay, now I'm going to turn the guitar over and undo the back, and then desolder those two knobs. Now just take this back off. It's just 4 screws. Put them to one side. Now, I always put the blue mat on whenever I'm doing soldering, because hot solder marks guitars. Now, the best thing to do is take a photo of these pots. Okay, I'm not sure how much you're going to be able to see here, but you take a photo out and then you work out exactly where the pickups go. And it's just a ground wire and a hot wire, that's all. So the hot wire's on the middle and the ground wire's on the actual pot, which is just totally normal. So just heat that up. This is very difficult to do whilst filming. All we do is heat it up and just take off the actual wires. That's it. There you go, that's one pickup off. Now, as with this one, the ground wire for the switch has come off as well. So just take note of that. That switch gets very hot, as you can tell. And that's ready to come out now, that pickup. Now, always remember what is the ground and what is the hot wire. So that's one done. Now for the next one, do exactly the same. Again, always put the heat mat down. You can guarantee the one time you forget it, it will. The same again, it's on the middle and the ground wire's on the top. So again, it's going to be really awkward to film, but I'll try. That one off, and the middle. That's it, and that's off. I'm going to put this on right back. Put this back in. And now it's ready for the pickups to come out. Just clear out all these bits and pieces. Right, now let's swap this back right over and then we'll take the pickups out. Now those two knobs have been done and unsoldered, we now take out the pickups. So all this is just a matter of 4 screws. Like I say, these are pretty good pickups, so I'm going to keep these as spares. Because you never know what guitar they do. I think they're as good as like the old Epiphone ones. So you just pull this out now and you just tug on these gently. That's it, and that's out. That's one out. Put that to one side. We'll reuse them screws. Now for the bridge pickup. There we go. Screws to one side because again we're going to use those, and you just pull this out, come out real easily. Now that's out. Put that to one side too. Now I did notice these holes, some of these were very loose. These ones, these were alright, but these were, so I've got a fix for that. So the next thing I'm going to do is fix this. Now what it is with these holes is they've not been drilled properly. They've just been lashed up. So what you do, put a cocktail stick in, as far as it go, push it right down, and then just snap it. And that fills the hole. We'll do the same this side. Do it with the spiked end, it's much easier. In, and then snap it off. As far as you can go. Push it down with the other end of the cocktail stick. This one and this one, see? All it does is just fills that hole again with wood. If it sits a bit proud, just take one end of the cocktail stick and push it down. See, it will go down. They're so soft, these cocktail sticks. Now, when you screw in again, these were alright, these ones. That one's a bit deep, so we'll do that one. Push it down. That one's okay. That one's okay. You'll just notice that they feel huge. There's an imperfection there, but I think the pickup ring will cover that. But anyway, so there's that. Now the next job to do is fit the new pickups. Now you do this obviously is an exact reverse of how you took them out. Now this is why you fit the pickup rings, so you can remember which ones go where, because you'd be surprised how easy it is to forget. Now all it is just a matter of threading these through. Now just twist these together gently. You can even tape them if you want. I don't need to on these ones. And just slide it down ever so gently. That should come out the other end. That's it. Now, there's the first pickup on. And we just want to nip this to make sure it's come out. So all you do is just put a couple in just to hold it in situ. There's one. Watch these screw holes. Watch where they are on these Chibsons, because they're not always straight, which can be a pain as well. You don't end up screwing a completely different part of the body. Also measure the screws, because you don't want the screws to be too long, because you've got longer ones for the back. That's going in nicely now. See, these bite a lot better because these pickup rings are really loose. Now that's 2 in. Now what we're going to do is just flip it over, just so I can make sure that the cable, which it has come through the back, ready for me to solder. Now that's the neck pickup, so it has to stay up that side. So there's that one done. Now we do exactly the same with the bridge one. Twist these together. I'll tell you what would be a good idea is this one here, mark, because once these come through, you won't be able to tell which was which. So what I'm going to do is just mark on this one only, for now, the coil split wires, because I'm not going to do the coil split. So these need taping up anyway, so might as well do it now. So that one's marked. You know, the one with the coil splits marked is the neck pickup. Now the bridge pickup. I'll say do exactly the same. There's a channel there. Thread it through. That feels like it's gone through. This one, just hold it for now. There it is. That's through. So now we can get on with screwing these down properly. Make sure everything's neat in there and nothing's catching a wire. And then get a couple of screws in first. So there's the first one. Like I say, much tighter there, which is a lot better. That'll really hold them. Be careful where the screw holes are, because where they've been plugged, it will feel like new wood for a little while, but it's soft wood, so it'll go through a lot easier than if you are hitting real wood. You'll know if you're hitting real wood. Right, there's that. Screw it right down so there's no gaps. Lovely. Now, I'm pleased with that. And how sturdy they are now. Yeah, screw the rest of these in. Little screw. That's it. Ooh. That's it. That's a bit high, that. So just check these again. That's it. Just do them. That's it. Just so they're just level. Okay. There's that done. Now, the next job is to resolder the pots back on. So, remember how we marked them? Remember, you're working about face when you turn it over. So again, mat, because we're going to solder. We don't do anything without the mat on the guitar. Everything's on there lovely. We need the hot wire, which we need to restrip there. So let's get a pair of pliers to restrip that. That done. These two need twisted together. You need the ground, which is the green on this one, and the ground wire twisted together so they become one. Move the coil splits out of the way, you don't need them. Now the first job to do is tin these. Now again, I'm going to try really hard, but it's so difficult to film with this camera. Now cover the body with the heat mat. If any goes inside, it won't matter so much. But obviously always try and be neat and tidy. Now, you just need to tin these wires. Shouldn't take long. That's tinned. And that's tinned. Now the hot goes to the middle lug, where it came from, which is the difficult one to get to. I'm trying to hold it so you can see. I'm not sure how successful I'm going to be, because I have to also be able to check your solder. That's on nice and solid. Now for your ground wire, look for the best route for it, which is through here, just to keep it nice and neat. Yeah, these do get hot, these wires, so I'm going to get a pair of little pliers that I use. And use that to hold it onto the ground. Just there. Now hold that on, heat the pot up and heat the wire, and that should just melt onto it. Right, I don't think there's enough solder on that. This is the thing, when they're wired up in China, they don't solder them that well sometimes. Now that lug should be soldered to the ground as well, and it didn't have a lot on there. So I've just added some. These are like the little problems you'll come across, but don't panic, they're only little problems. And again, we do the same. Now it's gone on a lot better that time. Give it time to dry for a couple of seconds and then test it. Now that's on solid. While you're here, test the other ones, because you'll be surprised. You'll put it all back in. Now that one's soldered. Now we do the second one. Now this one came off the ground wire, see, because they're not very well done at first. So now this one we know is the bridge. So black is hot. Now these have been used before, so they're already tinned, which is handy. As I said, they are second-hand pickups. We want to get onto that middle lug again. Always clean your soldering iron. Heat that lug. Give it a couple of seconds. And that's solid. Now these have got 2 grounds, so this one goes on here. We'll put that straight onto here. Heat that pot up. Again, remember they do get hot, these wires. And now the common or the ground that came off may need resoldering, that one. Heat it up. Nice and hot. Now that was going to need some more solder on it. Like I say, don't panic. These were new pots when I put them in earlier, in an earlier video, weeks ago now. But it's the tinning of these cables, that's it. It just wasn't tinned very well. Hold that on. And I think that's done. Now check all your connections again, and like I say, check all the others, especially if the Chinese connections, because they're not known for being very careful. And then you tape up again the coil split wires that we're not using. You don't want them touching anything and shorting anything out. Then take them out off. Now obviously wiring back is the reverse of taking them out. Make sure there's plenty of room in there now. Don't screw it back on just yet. Turn it over. Yeah, do one at a time with these. Don't know whether I could get it in for you. Now hold that there. Now remember what pot's which. Now washer on. Then nut on. Do them hand tight for now. Washer on. No. Now, the best way to do these is just make sure you got hold of that pot because it will turn. So this one first, hold it as best you can, get it in the camera, get your socket on and screw it up. Only you need to go hand tight, not too tight as you just twist the knob round. Now that's solid. Do the same for the bottom one. Hand tight. That's it, and that's on. Now the next thing to do before we do them up will be to test the pickups are actually working. So all we do is get a guitar lead. So I'll be back when I've got one of those. Right, I've got a guitar lead. Now one end just plugs into the guitar as normal. The other end we need. Now again, mat over the guitar, especially if it's not yours, and we're going to get a reading. So switch this to 20 ohms. And with this you want one below the black line. See the black line there? You want one probe below it. Make sure everything is on 10. And we're going to test the switches up, so it'll be the neck pickup first. The neck pickup is 919, so that's wired up correctly. Now we'll switch the switch, make sure they're on 10 again, and this will be the bridge pickup, which is 1173, round about 12. So it's just slightly hotter, which is what we wanted. Okay, so get yourself one of these meters, they're really handy. Now we know that's all wired up correctly. We can now take this, put it away, and then we can take the lead out. Don't need that. Now another problem I noticed on this, but really we can screw this up now. So turn this round. Try to keep it in view for you. We're finished in here, but before we finish, I've noticed that this phono out is very loose. So I'm going to get a 13mm socket and fix that. I didn't get a 13mm, it's a 12mm. So just unscrew that. Yeah, it's not coming out of there enough. Now that's the nut that comes off it. So put that to one side there, we'll have a look. Let's pull it out. I think what they've done is left the nut, which they have. See that? Now there's a nut on it. So we just, that was halfway up. Now it wasn't coming out the body enough. So just screw it down and then put it back in, and we'll see then if it comes out enough, because there's not enough to come out of the body to screw that nut to. That might be a bit better. Now just put the nut back on. as straight as you can get it. This is the fiddliest part of the job. That's it. You'll know when it's on straight because it goes on easy. It's not, you haven't got to force it. Now, that's screwed up tight as I can get with that socket, but I'm still going to tighten it up a bit more with a pair of pliers, because that didn't look like, feel like it was tight to me and the socket couldn't fit in there anymore. So again, hold it with your hand. That's it, and just tweak it up with the long nose pliers. That's it. Go gentle, always, you will scratch it like the plate. That's it. Now that is all done. That's a lot more solid now. One last check of the wires, which they're all fine. Tuck that away. Put the back on. Because you're finished in there now. Very simple job to do. Like I say, if you change the pots over like I did earlier, a few weeks back now, maybe even months, just use mini pots, 500k. So that's that done. So we flip it over again and it's all ready. Now we turn these up to 10 and we get these volume pots back on. Now point them the same way as the others. Which is there, and just simply push them on. Don't push too hard, no harder than necessary anyway. Some of them are real buggers to get on. So again, up full, number 10, and just push it home. There you go. This one, that's it. Just push it home so they're solid. They're on solid. That's that done. Now we're going to fit the bridge and the stop bar. These are the bridge and stop bar from the Chibson. I just want to weigh them. So that one, 72. Someone told me that if they're lighter, they're better. But I haven't got a clue. They certainly feel exactly the same. That's 72. The only difference with this one is the little clips that hold it on. See them from the Epiphone one, and obviously the back of that's got nothing on, whereas the back of this one says Epiphone. Stand that the right way. Ooh. Oh, there you go, Epiphone. Okay, they've got different moulding marks, different casting marks. There you go. So that's the Epiphone one, and that's the Chibson one. So the Chibson one weighs in at 72 grams. Take that off. And the Epiphone one weighs in at 69 grams, only slightly lighter. Now, the same with the bridge. These feel pretty much the same. This one does feel sturdier, but I think these are more like the normal Epiphone cast, where the inspired ones tend to be a bit better, I found. Like I say, it looks pretty much the same. That's got just a bit wider, but not by a lot. If you turn it over, again, it's got cast marks on this one. And this one, if you turn it over, it'll flip up the other way. Same casting marks, really. Similar anyway. And it's got Epiphone on it. So, we'll put this one on the scale. And this one weighs in, the Chibson one weighs in at 48 grams. And the Epiphone one weighs in at 47. So again, just slightly lighter. So I just thought I'd do that, just in case any of you want to follow that. But like I say, I think it's a bit of a load of tosh, the weight of them. But it may be something true. But I'm going to use this as a wraparound and all, this one. But anyway, let's get back to the upgrade. Now it's time to fit the stop bar on the bridge. Now the bridge just goes straight on, just pops on. Okay, so that's the bridge on. The stop bar, now I've threaded the strings through because I've done a wraparound. That should go in and that a clip in, see? Hear it? Now it's clipped in. And now all there is to do is just string it. I'm not going to film that because that's really boring. But that's my next job. Restring these and then it's more or less job done. Okay, that's all nice and strung up now. It's got the wraparound bridge across the new foam bridge. I'll set it up as best I can here. The rest of it I'll probably have to set up. Oh, I've done the intonation and the tuning. But these pickups could come up a bit, I suppose. So I'm just adjusting these on the bench, but I'll probably adjust these again when I give it a sound test. So it's all done. Intonation, everything. It's all tuned up, ready to go. So the next thing is the sound test. So I'll see you on the sound test. See how this actually sounds now. Some old solder there. Old wire. Give it a good clean down before we go. And as I said, I'll see you on the sound test. Now, just before we go to the sound check, I just wanted to quickly run past what I've done over the weeks and months. It's had new 500k mini alpha pots fitted. I was going to do a coil split, decided against it. Epiphone stop bar from a Les Paul inspired by. Same for the bridge. Lovely Seymour Duncan pickups, bridge and neck. I had to just solder that switch, which was no big deal. Just resoldered it, and I stuck the poker chip down with a bit of double-sided sticky tape. Levelled and polished all the frets, so it plays, it glides now. The nut is original, and so are the tuners, but they're absolutely fine. So this is all ready to go now, and we'll do a sound test next, just so you know exactly what it sounds like. So here we are at the sound test. Plugged it all in, like I said, it's all tuned up. That's a nice clear sound. Just a little bit of reverb, just so it sounds a bit nicer. It's on the bridge pickup now. Trying to remember what I played last time, so you've got some sort of reference. This is now middle position, nice bit of tone. The pickups are adjusted to a nice height, so it's just really a change in tone, not volume. Yeah, neck pickup. Again, just a change in tone. Probably going out a bit. Tune there. out a little bit of tune now, but I'll tune it up just because there's new strings. So that sounds lovely. Now I'm going to add some distortion to it and obviously tune it up. Now we've got some distortion on it. This is exactly the same settings. I've just kicked on the distortion pedal, the DS1. So this comes alive when you add distortion to it. Lovely. Add some tone to it in the middle position. Beautiful. Neck pickup. This sounds glorious. Now I'm only using the phone as usual. I'm not using, well, I'm using an amp, but I'm only using the speakers and the mic from a phone. So it's the best I can do without wiring up loads of stuff. But I always do my demos like that, just so you get like a nice honest sound. Really, you can mess around with an amp as much as you like and get it sound better, but all I've done is just add a little touch of reverb and then kicked on a distortion pedal. This comes alive when you add distortion to it, as you can hear. This is crying out for me to play that famous lick from Guns N' Roses, that slash lick, but if I do, I'm just going to get the video blocked. So as much as I really want to, and I have done, and it sounds absolutely fantastic, I can't do it on video, but I hope I showed you enough there with all my mistakes just to show you the different tones and the different sort of distortions and the different sounds you can get from this guitar and these wonderful Seymour Duncan pickups. This really is the last mod I'm going to do on this guitar, and whether I keep it or sell it, I won't be doing anything else to it. It doesn't need anything else done to it. So this plays and sounds lovely. Dare I say, better than the Epiphones I've played. As good as a Gibson? Probably not, but it does sound lovely and it plays really nice. It's got a nice thin neck like a Fender C Modern. With these frets done, it just slides, it glides, this guitar. It's beautiful. But anyway, won't bore you anymore with it. Thanks for watching the series if you watched them all. If not, go back and watch them all. It might give you some hints and tips if you fancy doing that to a Chibson yourself. Just showing you that these guitars are really well made. Probably not best put together and not using the best parts, but they're very well made. Excellent base for something if you want to mod, especially if you want to practice modding. You know, like putting pickups in, fret dressing, etc. Everything's there on the 4 videos. Thanks very much for watching, and I'll see you next time.